Hi guys, my name is Sunny. I'm pretty dorky. I've never really fit in anywhere. I'm socially awkward as heck. I'm the only one who finds me funny. Mom. I suffered from depression pretty much all my life, which is not fun. So I really just want to go on a journey to find happiness, and happiness for me has always been seeking out truth, Art Bell style. I think there's a deeper meaning to life, and that's what I'm looking for. It's just a quest for purpose, answers, aliens if they're out there, just truth. Just gonna let myself be weird. Yeah, I hate being on camera though. I'm just so awkward. Yeah, so this is going to be really fun. This is Lou. Lou is so much fun. We've been friends for years. We lost touch along the way, but together we are big dorks, and I love that. Lou has a passion for archaeology and history like I do. When we get to talking, he teaches me something new every time I'm with him. So I'm just so excited to have him here with me on this journey. He'll be my co-host on the podcast quite a bit. Everyone's just gonna love him, and I'm sure when I don't have him on, everybody will be like, "Where's Lou?" Yeah, I get the show on the road. I love him. Then there's my producer. That's Daniel. He's amazing to work with. He's so smart, so funny, and he just gets the vision for this entire project. He's been really pushing me to work hard, and he's so much fun. He's into all the tech stuff, which is great because I'm not. And having him along is great, especially because he's pushing me so hard to do all the things I don't want to do, like be on camera. But he's really just a big goofball like me. And it's exciting to have someone who pushes you so hard, because when you do things you don't want to do, sometimes you get really amazing surprises. It's the bus! The freaking bus! There is no sound for this video because I am freaking out, losing my mind, and using a lot of adult language because we didn't plan that. That's kind of what I'm learning. You can't plan everything. I've been planning this podcast for years. All my friends are probably sick of hearing about it. I've been working on a documentary, but at some point you have to say enough planning. You're never going to be perfect, and it's not about being perfect, it's about having fun. So let's get to it. My podcast is called the Unhush Club. It will air July 30th. The first episode is going to be based on Area 51. It'll be with just Daniel and I because we went out there together. We took every single road, and they are rough roads. A lot of people say that there's probably not anything at Area 51 anymore, but I mean, just look at their natural security. They own so much land, and even on the public land, they have sensors everywhere. So they know you are there way before you get anywhere near the base. Before you get anywhere near the gate or the land that they own. So we'll definitely talk about that. We'll talk about the sensors that we saw. We did find something really interesting in parts of the road that I've never heard anybody talk about before. So we're really excited to talk about that. That's one of my biggest rules for this podcast, is I never want to do an episode on anything that I don't feel I can contribute something to. There are a lot of mysteries that I'm very fascinated by that I probably won't ever talk about because I don't have anything to really contribute to it. I'm always researching. It's my passion. It's what I love to do. I love to read. I love to learn. So there are certain things that I just feel like I want to be a part of. And, learning about technology that we may have, fighting for disclosure, that's definitely one of the things that I want to do. So you'll definitely see a lot about Area 51, government bases, kind of the hidden stuff. It just freaking fascinates me, man. Man, just look at that. It's so beautiful and so intimidating at the same time. I don't even think when I've been there, it doesn't seem like there's anybody there. It could just all be intimidation. Like I said, you're so far from the base, it really doesn't matter. And they have so many sensors, they're gonna know. They already know what you're doing. If you're that close, they already know what you're doing. It's probably the most secure base. They definitely have technology out there. It's definitely not empty. It may not be aliens, but there's been quite a few weird things that happen along the way.
Remember that guy that pulled over on the Southern Road?
Yeah.
He just caught up to us.
Huh?
He just caught up to us.
Jesus. This guy. And he did it all day. We first ran into him at the extraterrestrial highway sign. I love this spot. Base employees actually used to park here and wait for the white bus to pick them up. So there was a part of me that thought maybe he's an employee. He wasn't on his phone, he didn't have a camera, he was just sitting there, so we didn't want to bother him. We left, went on our way. This is one of my favorite spots. We pulled over, took some pictures. He, of course, passed us, but we didn't stop again, and he would constantly stop and then catch up with us. So it was really strange, but it led me to want to pull over again to see if he would catch up with us, and that's where we saw this. They're gone. Did you see that? This right here is so cool. I'm so glad that we stopped because this started happening like immediately. It made me think that maybe this is what that guy was waiting for. But these jets do some impressive maneuvers. Sorry I had to kind of cut out some of the sound. I have horrible language when I'm excited. But you'll see them kind of disappear, in a sense, and then reappear. But there is an actual instance where they, like right about here, you'll see the black spots, they just disappear. And you'll see why. Loud sound coming, I apologize.
Yep, yep.
And they're gone.
I lost him.
They're gone.
No, but they're like legit gun. What the?
And then I'll show you again from my camera phone.
Whoa, there's a ton of them over there. 1, 2, 3, 4. You see them?
There were planes or jets or aircraft or whatever they were everywhere that night. So there's definitely at least something at Area 51. They're going somewhere. It was really cool. I did see my first UFO the second day that we were out there. It will definitely tell that story too. It wasn't as exciting as I had hoped it would be, but at least I wasn't the only person that saw it. So I just remember my dad telling me stories of, he saw a UFO when he was younger and he had told me that story and it was fascinating. He always had those kind of programs on about history, aliens, ancient Egypt, Edgar Casey, who I'm just fascinated by. He was the sleeping prophet back in the 40s. I have several of his books. He's just fascinating. We'll definitely cover him. But some of my fondest memories will always be looking up at the stars with my dad and him teaching me how to look for satellites. So that's how I got into this stuff.
Do you hear that? Oh my god.
So unfortunately, this didn't really pick up well on audio, but you could hear the aircraft still, even after they had disappeared. It was just this rumble. It was so quiet out there except for that rumble, and it was intense.
They're somewhere up here.
No, my first name ain't Baby, it's Janet. I'm so sorry. That was like my first favorite song when I was little. But it's the Janet terminal, get it? Oh my god. I'm not a gambler, I'm not a partier, so this is my fun in Vegas. But I really wanted to get some footage of the Janet terminal. So it's pretty cool, actually. The employees for not just the Area 51 base, but other neighboring bases, they actually fly out of this terminal. It's private. I really kind of wanted to see their procedures, so I do notice like the guys checking in there. But literally they just walk off the plane and get in their car and go home, so getting out isn't as difficult. But what's really important about this part of the story is that it really legitimizes a lot of Bob Lazar's claims, because when he first broke the story back in 1989, he had said that in order to get to work, he drove to the McCarran airport and flew out of a private government terminal, which we now know is the Janet terminal. We don't even know if it's called Janet. We just gather that from the call signs that the pilots use. And some people say that it stands for just another non-existent terminal. What makes it such an important part of the story, in my opinion, is that before Bob, nobody had really spoken about Area 51 in general, but nobody had ever mentioned how they get to work or flying out of the terminal at all. No one had ever mentioned the terminal. When I got a chance to talk to George Knapp, who you might know from Coast to Coast, he was the reporter who brought Bob Lazar on the air back in 1989. He's actually the only person who can really get Bob to talk the majority of the time. He stays pretty low-key and doesn't like to talk about this stuff. But I asked him if he had ever heard of anybody else bring it up, and he said no, he hadn't. As far as he knows, Bob was the first one. So if he had no knowledge of Area 51 or working there, it just seems impossible that he would know about the Janet terminal. For those who don't know much or anything about the Bob Lazar story, he is an engineer who claimed to work at a site called S4, which he said was just south of Area 51 by about 17 miles on the Papoose Lake bed. And he said that their hangar doors built into the side of the mountain camouflaged very well with sand-like paint, and he worked on an alien spacecraft, which he had never been a believer of UFOs or aliens before that. He said he was hired to reverse engineer their technology. George Knapp did tell me that he did talk him into doing some sort of documentary. I think it's supposed to come out in December. So if you're interested, definitely keep an eye out for that. I'm so jealous because I really wanted to do something big on Bob Lazar, but I'm excited for this documentary. I've actually seen bits and pieces of it. It's by Jeremy Corbell. He's definitely way more experienced. I'm not experienced at all. So I would much rather watch what he's gonna do. I'm very excited to see it. So definitely check that out. I think it's just called Lazar. So be on the lookout for that. My entire life, Bob Lazar has just always been the most interesting character that I've ever heard of or seen. I hope you guys are interested in what you find out about him too. So I really just wanted to do this video to introduce myself and introduce my friends, and also give you some expectations of episodes that we will have and some things that we will probably never do an episode on. I'm going to try to have a video to accompany every podcast. So this video here, even though it's my introduction and kind of letting you know what's to come, this first video of course has a lot of Area 51 footage, as you can see, because that's going to be the first episode. I wanted to kind of explain kind of what's happening here. You don't really get how vast the area is out there. This is going up to the main gate. This is the gate that you'll normally see people post photos of. I've been there a couple of times now, a handful of times, day and night, and never seen this much action. I don't know if you can see that little white speck there in the hill. That is that main security truck that you see in most photos. The camo dudes or guys that sit in the white truck on the hill and kind of secure that front gate, make sure nobody tries anything funny going over the line or anything. So this day I've never seen anything like this out here. I'm sure it happens pretty frequently, but you see a lot of white trucks coming. I didn't really show the first vehicle that had passed by too closely. I cut some of it out because you can really see the faces of the driver and the passenger, and I really want to protect identities of anybody that we might come across. It's been said that employees of the base, if their faces are shown in videos, that they could lose their jobs. And we definitely don't want to put anybody at risk for that. But we did have a theory that the first truck might be the reason for the other 2 or 3 trucks following so quickly behind, because it didn't look like a normal security truck. It actually looked kind of like a utility truck, so we're not sure if he was supposed to be there or not. I think on the video, my producer Daniel had said, oh, it's just tourists, and then we saw 2 or 3 other trucks come zooming by, which is hard to do on these roads. Look how rough they are. Even these tiny little hills, they look tiny, but they're nasty. So I don't know what was going on that day, but they were definitely in a hurry. My podcast is named Unhush Club because I really want people to feel okay with telling their story. It's all about your truth, and I want to learn. So instead of being hushed, feeling like an outsider, you feel like you're part of a club. It's inclusive and you can feel comfortable. One thing that not a whole lot of people know is that Lou and I were actually working on a TV show back in the day when I first started DJing, and he was a bouncer at the Ugly Monkey in Indianapolis. This is a good 10, 11 years ago. Those days, I miss them and I don't. On this TV show, we were really going to focus on archaeological mysteries. I was studying archaeology at the time, and Lou is very versed in history and archaeological subjects. So now with our podcast, we really want to cover some of those same subjects we had always wanted to talk about. The Nazca Lines, the Tomb of Pakal, the Great Pyramid. I really want to go over some of the new findings, just really fascinating stuff. And I might even be able to tie some things into what they're doing at Area 51. So watch and see how I pull the Great Pyramid and Area 51 together. Yikes. We had this idea before Ancient Aliens, so we'll try not to do too much of the same thing. I'm just kind of going over the list of episode ideas that I've had for, well over a year now. And I see that I have a lot of missing persons cases on here and sort of crime stories. I probably won't do too much of that because there's just so much being done right now. I talk a lot about the Maura Murray case, but I mean, anybody who follows that knows Tim and Lance really have that podcast going strong, along with Maggie's documentary. There's nothing really I could add to it, so I just want to sit back and listen to them continue to do great work. I'll never be Art Bell, but I do want to follow up on some of his old guests. No spoilers or anything, but there are some that need to be followed up with. Ooh, this one right here. It's an amazing story. And of course it's in Nevada too, so more time in the desert. I have gotten in touch with a few of my favorite old Art Bell guests and have had great conversations. I have a couple of offers to do interviews, so I'm really excited about that. We're already setting up the timeline to schedule trips. We will do a few paranormal things. I know that I used to do the paranormal investigation back in the day with my friend DJ Sampson. I don't know if you remember our 8-hour tour of Waverly Hills, but we never did release any of that stuff, so I might be able to bring him on the show and actually get some of the old creepy stuff that we found to you guys. But for the most part, I want to try to stay away from that kind of stuff. Just for now anyways. It just brought along a lot of darkness when I did do it. So in the meantime, we have a lot of great interviews lined up and a whole lot of other subjects to talk about. So we're excited to get started and hope you guys enjoy it. The Unhush Club podcast, episode 1, July 30th. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram. Give us a like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. I'm Sunny Heiss and I can't wait to talk to you guys. Good night, friends.